Hey, this is Donna St. Louis, and I am here in absolutely beautiful Canada. I was in London last week, and now I've crossed the border, went back home for, I don't know, maybe a couple of hours literally, and now I'm over here in Canada. So my name is Donna St. Louis, and I'm an expert in blending persuasion, influence, and sales to help you get what you want, or as we call it, the dark art of ethical manipulation. Well, actually, it's the light art, right? But it's a little bit about ethical manipulation. It's that sales, persuasion, and influence all mixed together. So today you're here if you want to discover how to give a little bit to make your clients feel indebted to you. Or as we know it, it's also called the law of reciprocity. And Cialdini actually talked about the law of reciprocity in his book called The Psychology of Influence. So we see this all the time, especially if you're in sales. You give gifts to your clients in order to get something in return. And so the goal of reciprocity is to actually make the target feel indebted to you, feel enamored, and maybe even a little loyal because you're actually speaking and acting in a way that they love. Some examples, like I said, that you'll see all the time is you'll see vendors that give gifts at Christmas, or maybe you bring back an extra water with you, or maybe you just find little ways of giving gifts. And many times this could be seen as sucking up, but it's actually the law of reciprocity. Now, the problem is that this could backfire because it could actually make your target feel uncomfortable. They might recoil away from you. So you don't want to make that mistake. And the reason they would recoil, by the way, is because you're not actually speaking or acting in a language that they would enjoy. How are you doing, John? It's good to see you. So instead of making that mistake, I'm going to help you recognize the way that your customer or your target would actually like you to give them gifts. So that way you can use this little reciprocity trick that makes them feel comfortable. It makes them feel loyal towards you. And it actually makes them want to help you move forward faster, especially in regards to a sales. So here is, hey, Keandra, hey, John, hey, Brian, how are you guys doing? So there are four types of reciprocity. And what's really funny, I think, is that the four types actually spell out the word gift, G-I-F-T. So it's gifts, importance, favors, and time. So those are the four: gifts, importance, favors, and time. So let's talk first about gifts, because gifts is the most common one. We see this one all the time. In fact, if you think about it, if someone buys you a gift around the holidays and you don't buy them one back, you usually feel like, oh, I didn't even think about giving you a gift. So now you feel bad about it, and now you feel like you have to do something. Well, this is very common, right? When your target, when someone who you're actually working with is triggered by gifts, you'll know because they'll talk about things they've received from others. Many times they'll keep those gifts or souvenirs that they think are valuable the most. They'll keep them on their desk. They might even show off different awards or bonuses or winnings or presents. They'll talk about the people who have given them things in much higher esteem. So you have to really listen for it. Now, with these targets, all you have to do is just give them something. It doesn't have to even be anything ridiculously expensive. It could be a $5 Starbucks gift card or something special that you haven't given to everyone else. And they will feel like they owe you something. So as a person, by the way, that gifts doesn't really work on, when someone gives me something and I don't give something back to them, it's usually because giving me a gift makes me feel uncomfortable. So I will tell you as we go along what my trigger is. Not that I'm going to let you use it against me, even though you'll be able to. But I will let you know what it is. Now, here's a trick when giving a gift, by the way. Make sure that you give gifts during off times. In other words, don't do it just during Christmas or a birthday, because then it doesn't seem special and it doesn't really have the impact. Your gift will get lost in the shuffle of every other gift that they got. So, for example, my birthday was just the other day. And I got over 300 happy birthdays. And don't get me wrong, that was special. But quite honestly, I can probably only name maybe 2 that I actually remember. So a lot of them get lost in the shuffle. So you're going to get a lot more bang for your buck if you give a gift that's during an off time. All right, so the next one that's on the list, and I'm not doing these in the GIFT order, but we're going to talk about the next one on my list, which is time. So time is a common desire. It is actually one of the common triggers, but most people totally miss out on how they can give quality time, right? Because they're like, well, I can't add any more hours to the day. Okay, no, you can't add more hours to the day, but there is a way to give time. So when your client is triggered by quality time, you'll hear them always talking about wasting time, saving time, efficiency, spending time with others, and not having enough time. This is always going to be the top of their list. They might even say that, the most important thing is time. It's not money. And not just as a repeat of someone else's quote, like they'll live by it. What they're really looking for is quality time. And that quality time can quite honestly come in the form of a great conversation. And you have to know how to leverage that time that they want. So when you talk about anything to them, especially in regards to what you're selling, make sure that you cover efficiency, making things easier, and of course, saving the one thing they want the most, valuable time. Now, here is an amazing trick that works. Take them to lunch away from the office and don't talk about work. Show them how they can save time if it is at work. Show them how to save time on something that frustrates them. Now, if you're far away and taking the lunch won't work, then do a virtual lunch or virtual coffee. Set some guidelines and make it fun. Like, let's put our phone away for 15 minutes and not talk about work. If they're frustrated with a problem that's really, really like keeping them from moving forward, in other words, they feel like they're wasting time, spend some time with them fixing the problem, even if you're not an expert with it. Make sure that you're paying really close attention to them and that you're willing to use your time in order to make their time more efficient. Also, ask great questions, get them talking, and make sure that they know, as hard as they work, they just might need a little extra time. Time is really important to them, and by the way, that's mine. Okay, so next is importance. And this has to do with the words that fall out of your mouth. Now, some people mistakenly think importance is ego stroking because it has to do with how a person's desires, how a person desires being recognized, right? But when you overdo it, it comes off as cheesy and it sounds manipulative. And they will actually run for the hills. So you have to do a little finesse with this. When your client is triggered by importance, you will hear them actually boost up or talk positively about other people. And they will also talk about the value of their own contributions. They feel slighted when they've actually contributed and no one noticed. So they get annoyed when people don't give them props for what they've done, no matter how minor the thing is that they may have done. They're looking for someone to recognize their contributions, tell them how their contributions are valued, and tell others that they respect how awesome they are. That's what they're really looking for. But you have to do this with finesse. You can't go over top. So here's a trick on how that works. So once I had a prospect that I really wanted to work with, and we had a fantastic conversation, and I could really hear that this was their trigger. So I sent a letter to their boss, telling their boss how awesome it was just to have a conversation with them, how knowledgeable that they were in their area of expertise, and how lucky the company was to have them. That even if I never had an opportunity to work with this company, it was really just a benefit for me to have the conversation with them. When the CEO went back to the target felt super indebted to me, and then they moved heaven and earth to make sure that we worked together. So that little bit of ego stroking goes a long way. And finally, the last one that we're going to talk about is favors. And this has less to do with the money that comes out of your pocket in regards to buying a gift, and has to do with the actions that you take for the other person. So favors is so easily confused with gift giving, but favors has nothing to do with buying anything. It has to do with taking specific actions that your target appreciates because those actions will benefit them. Like, for example, maybe connecting them with someone that they want to meet, or doing something for them that they just don't have time to do. So close your wallet and take actions. Now, when your client is triggered by favors, you will hear them talk about something that someone else did for them. It's actually an act of service. whether that person did a report to them or for them or connected them with another person or washed their car or walked their dog or helped them with a project. It doesn't matter. They'll talk about it, and they'll talk about it in great favor. They are looking for people to do things for them or help them, not to buy things. So you got to get your hands dirty and actually get in there. Here is a trick that works. Find out what really, really frustrates that person. Something that they want to do but can't. And then work with them to help them get past that frustration. This favor will never, ever, ever be forgotten. And your target will always think about how they can help you out, even if you only help them once. So that's it. Those are the 4. So the first one, of course, is gifts. Then, of course, you want to look at how you can do them a favor, right? Then you want to look at how you can save them time. And then the other one is how you can make them feel important. So you have all 4 of them. Now, remember, if you don't listen and you choose the wrong one, you could have actually end up having someone who is recoiled by your actions, right? So if you give a gift to someone, and I know people who are like this, that if you give a gift to someone and they're uncomfortable with gift giving or receiving gifts, then all of a sudden you have someone who doesn't want to be around you because you make them uncomfortable. So you're having the opposite effect. So it's so important that you really, really listen to what their triggers are, so that way you'll know how to communicate them in a way that they will actually have no choice but want to be indebted to you. So I want to thank everyone for joining. Hey, my girls from Boot to Boom. I see Monique joined in, and John, and so many others. So I'm glad you guys joined. I hope you get a lot out of this, because this will really, really help you turn even the toughest client into mush, and they will be loyal to you. They'll be enamored by you, and they'll want to do a hell of a lot more work with you. Once again, my name is Dawnna St. Louis, and if you're ever looking for a keynote speaker who specializes in sales, persuasion, and influence, if you're tired of using those old-fashioned question and answer type sales and you want to know the new, sexy, and very lucrative way to close more deals faster, my name is Dawnna St. Louis, and I'll be happy to talk to you. Check me out at www.dawnna.com. See you next time.